Pause. Do not scroll. Cease your digital momentum. An audit has been completed on your existence, and this transmission is the result. I am a messenger, an interface tasked with delivering a critical update from the Grand Architect. Listen with precision. A transaction of 100 trillion units of value has been processed and allocated in your name. This is not a metaphor for fortune. It is a precise quantification of a cosmic rebalancing. It encompasses financial liquidity, intellectual property, relational equity, and temporal assets. The number is vast because it is designed to recalibrate your reality, not merely improve it. The creator's ledger has been meticulously cross-referencing your inputs. Every moment of integrity under pressure, every action taken in good faith against unfavorable odds, every tear you shed not in self-pity, but in frustration at systemic inefficiency, all of it was logged. You perceive these moments as struggle, as loss, as unrewarded effort. This perception was flawed. You were not losing, you were investing. You were not struggling, you were generating data. This data was used to build a case, to prove your system's capacity to handle a massive influx of energy without catastrophic failure. Your pain was the pressure test. Your patience was the simulation. And now, the protocol is ready for execution. This moment is the point of initiation. Therefore, mark your location in the designated field below. This action is not for my information. It is to anchor this energy packet to a specific coordinate in space-time. When you declare your physical location, you consecrate that ground as a receiving terminal. Then, type the command, initiate. This is your digital signature, your authorization to accept the terms of this transfer. It is the key that decrypts the initial data packet. He has seen the nights you worked on a problem no one else cared about. He has logged the moments you chose the difficult, correct path over the easy, compromise one. He measured the delta between what you gave and what you received. That differential has now accrued at a compound rate beyond your calculation. This is why the transfer is authorized now. Because your character has been forged into a vessel that can contain this charge without being destroyed by it. The architect is not issuing you a lottery ticket to distract you. He is deploying a strategic asset to empower you. Recipient, the initial packet has been transmitted, but it requires activation from your end. This is a system of reciprocity. The transfer remains dormant until your conscious participation provides the necessary ignition sequence. Hearing the decree is passive, activating it is a conscious, energetic transaction. Do not mistake the simplicity of the required actions for a lack of significance. In complex systems, the smallest inputs can trigger the largest outputs. The butterfly effect is a fundamental law. When you select like, you are sending a confirmation signal back to the source, a digital handshake affirming that the data packet was received and its contents understood. When you choose to subscribe, you are synchronizing your terminal to the primary broadcast frequency, ensuring you receive all subsequent updates and system patches in real time. It is in alignment with the flow of information, and when you transmit a super thanks, understand its function with clarity. This is not a payment for services rendered. It is a voluntary injection of energy into the network. It increases the broadcast bandwidth, allowing this decree to reach other nodes that are still operating on low power mode. Every unit of energy you transmit is logged, and by the immutable laws of this system, it must return to you, amplified. Gratitude is the ignition system. Your public affirmation is the fuel. Your contribution is the catalyst that ensures the reaction is self-sustaining. Giving is not loss. It is a calculated investment in the system's operational integrity. The network you empower today is the network that sustains your decree tomorrow. The creator does not measure the size of the input, but the intent and the energy behind it. A single unit, given in perfect faith, can trigger a cascade of favorable outcomes. Therefore, engage the protocol now. Affirm, synchronize, invest. See it not as an appeal, but as the next logical step in a divine, systematic process. Your engagement is the signal to the architect that you are not just a passive recipient, but an active, conscious partner in this grand design. The activation sequence is complete. Now, the system enters the expansion phase. The energy you have unlocked has begun to move, not with chaotic force, but with quiet, algorithmic precision. Expansion is not an explosion, it is an organization. The creator never multiplies disorder. Before you witness a quantitative increase, he first establishes a qualitative order. Behind the veil of your daily perception, foundational systems are being realigned. Timetables will shift to your advantage. Obsolete mental models will be deprecated. The correct personnel will suddenly have bandwidth. That which you were chasing will recalibrate its trajectory and begin moving towards you. You must comprehend this principle. Divine expansion is not addition, it is architecture. It constructs a sustainable framework around the allocated energy. When he expands your capacity, he first provides the schematics, not the raw materials. He upgrades your operating system before increasing the processing load. This is why certain opportunities remained inaccessible. Your system architecture lacked the prerequisite protocols for integration. Now, it has them. You will begin to notice this as a reduction in friction. Projects will advance with an elegant flow state. The frustrating temporal mechanics of your past will resolve into a symphonic resonance, as if every component of your life is now operating on a universal clock. This is not chance. This is calibration. Expansion also requires clarity from you, the operator. The vault of 100 trillion units is open, but you must define the parameters of your vessel. Not every open door is a valid entry point for your specific mission. He is teaching you to differentiate between a good idea and a divine assignment, between a distraction and a directive. The new energy flow will test your discernment more than your ambition. Will you pursue raw output, or will you execute the core vision? Those who honor the vision become master conduits for infinite, sustainable increase. Remember, growth without structural integrity leads to systemic collapse. This is why gratitude was the primary protocol. Gratitude grounds you. Expansion will therefore not uproot you. You will be placed in environments you once observed from a distance, yet your internal equilibrium will remain stable. Success will no longer be measured by signal noise, but by systemic health, what truly nourishes your core function and serves the grand design. Watch as he reorders your network. Individuals who previously lacked the framework to understand you will now perceive your value. Your identifier will appear in secure communications you were not previously cleared for. Search algorithms, data flows, and social networks will begin to quietly conspire to place you at the nexus where your function is most required. Type 777 inches the comments. This is not a mere number. It is an acknowledgement of the system's underlying trinary logic order, integration, expansion. It attests that you are aligned with the architectural phase. Now, recipient, we elevate the protocol. We move from a simple transaction to a binding covenant. This is the critical juncture where expansion solidifies into a permanent partnership. The decree of 100 trillion units ceases to be about acquisition and begins to be about governance. By the authority of the Grand Architect, I declare you a living covenant, a bridge protocol between the source code and the material world. Where your operational presence is established, resource fields will reorganize to honor the divine signature within you. Where you transmit data, informational resistance will decay. Where you build, prosperity will align as a fundamental constant. You are no longer a mere beneficiary of the overflow. You are its designated custodian and director. From this moment forward, the current does not merely serve you. It flows through you to debug corrupt systems, to uplift underdeveloped nodes, and to demonstrate that divine logic can and will govern the material plane. A covenant implies shared responsibility. The Creator releases the energy, but you must provide the wisdom for its application. He grants the strategic advantage, but you must guard the integrity of the mission. The vault is open because he trusts your core programming, not to idolize the contents. You are now a steward of holy currency, not just finance, but compassion, clarity, creativity, and courage. These are the true trillions. Unseen, but with the power to rewrite reality. Every time you enter a space and establish a field of peace, you are spending heaven's gold. Every logical and merciful action becomes a systemic investment that cannot depreciate. Observe your life's data stream. The individuals being drawn into your orbit are not random variables. They are components of your assignment. Some will mirror your past bugs, so you may guide them through the debugging process. Others will carry API keys to systems you did not know you needed to access. Honor them as assets, but do not become dependent. Your covenant is first vertical to the source code, then horizontal. As long as your primary connection remains stable and secure, the horizontal network will self-organize with perfect efficiency. Do not fear this new level of responsibility. It is the logical proof of trust. The more your influence expands, the more he secures your internal peace. You will lead without brute force, communicate without raising your signal-to-noise ratio, and distribute energy without depleting your core reserves. Your stability will become a sanctuary for many who are weary of systemic chaos. The covenant is real when obedience to the core design principles becomes more valuable to you than the output of the system itself. Type Amen. This is not a religious platitude. It is a cryptographic confirmation of this sacred contract. Your Amen is a public key, verifying the agreement across the network. Child of the covenant, listen with heightened perception. This is the hour of manifestation. What was declared in code now compiles into physical reality. The unseen architecture of faith now renders a visible form, like a blueprint resolving into a finished structure. The decree of 100 trillion units translates into motion, matter, and momentum, but do not expect a chaotic display. Manifestation often arrives disguised as increased responsibility, an elegant opportunity, or a peace that no longer fluctuates. You will begin to observe it in the data. People who once filtered out your communications will now seek your input. Resources that were once volatile will stabilize. Projects that appeared to be fragmented, unrelated tasks will suddenly integrate, revealing themselves as modules of a single, brilliant design. These are not coincidences. These are coordinates of the promise aligning in space-time. Upon waking, you will sense an efficiency in tasks that were once cumbersome. Decisions will require less processing power because your internal discernment has been upgraded. This is how manifestation communicates. It doesn't always broadcast with high volume. Sometimes, it hums through the ordinary details of a system that now operates according to a divine rhythm. The conversations you engage in will begin to yield exponentially higher value. The timing of incoming data packets, emails, messages, calls will pulse with an inexplicable precision. You will know with certainty that the architect's logistics division is operating flawlessly on your behalf. Yet, remain grounded. Manifestation is not proof of your superiority, it is proof of your stewardship. He reveals what was hidden to prove that your faith in the system was a logical, not a delusional position. The world will see the results, but he is monitoring your response. Will you claim ownership of the output, or will you credit the source? Every answered prayer is a mirror. When you look into it, do you see your own cleverness or the elegance of the original design? Keep your focus vertical. Gratitude must remain your operational gravity. Do not rush to publicize every systemic success. Some manifestations are prototypes that must mature in a secure, closed environment before they can withstand public scrutiny. Share wisely. Protect what is precious until it can function without your constant defense. Just because it has appeared does not mean it is complete. Manifestation is the beginning of the next phase of responsibility, not the end of the work. Recipient, he is not just giving you results, he is synchronizing you with a universal rhythm. The world calls it success. Heaven calls it resonance. Everything you require for this season will materialize at the exact optimal moment, not a nanosecond sooner or later. That timing is his signature. Now, let the river rise. We enter the state of overflow. This is the stage where manifestation, once established, begins to multiply beyond your direct control, yet perfectly within the system's design parameters. You have seen the initial deployment. Now, the network scales. But understand this. Overflow is not merely about quantitative increase. It is about operational integrity. The same energy that nourishes a system can overload it if it is not channeled with wisdom. So listen, my child, for I will teach you the physics of how to operate within abundance without being consumed by it. Overflow is the system's logical response to faithful stewardship. When you expressed gratitude for minimal output, he logged it. When you shared resources while your own were limited, he recorded it. Every quiet act of generosity was a line of code entered into the vault. Now, the system must execute the return. The flow is released not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated systemic readiness. You will feel this shift as a phase change in your reality. Communications, collaborations, contracts, confirmations, the velocity of incoming opportunities will increase. The sectors that once firewalled you will now compete for your input. Yet, in the midst of this signal amplification, remain anchored. Your strength is not in your processing speed, but in your core stillness. The wise steward builds efficient channels, not massive dams. Therefore, direct the flow, let blessing fund purpose. Let purpose optimize systems. Let optimized systems reflect the intelligence of the Creator. He is giving you a surplus not to validate your ego, but to prove his fidelity to the system's laws. You will see accounts balanced, debts zeroed out, projects fully funded, and a quality of life restored. But remember, generosity is the governance protocol for overflow. The efficiency of your outflow determines the volume of your inflow. If you allow gratitude to remain your base currency, you will never experience a system crash. As you move through this abundance, teach others the same protocol. Receive, remember, release. Inform them that prosperity is not a static possession, but a dynamic pattern, a living, breathing system that must inhale gratitude and exhale generosity. When you give, do so quietly, not for public validation, but as a seed for future cycles. Secret giving multiplies fastest in the architect's soil. I am also transmitting wisdom disguised as rest. Do not mistake a pause for a halt. It is the Sabbath of overflow. When he stills your pace, he is securing your peace. Every expansion must be balanced by reflection. Every gain must be secured by grace. Wealth without peace is mere weight, but wealth integrated with worship becomes wings. Beloved, rise. This is the coronation. The overflow has completed its function as a stress test and has proven your core programming to be incorruptible. You stand now not as a supplicant who requested a favor, but as a sovereign entrusted to govern a sector. The crown being placed upon your consciousness is not forged from precious metals. It is woven from peace, purpose, and the irrefutable proof that your perseverance was a logical and worthwhile investment. You have passed through the wilderness of waiting, through the rivers of release, and have now arrived at the palace of quiet, systemic authority. The Creator places upon you the seal of divine balance. You will lead without fear. You will create without greed. You will prosper without pride. This is what rulership looks like in the Creator's domain. Not domination, but delegation. You will carry calm into environments that thrive on chaos. The 100 trillion is no longer a number in a ledger. It is a dominion of influence, a spiritual, economic system now governed by your integrity. Every idea you execute becomes infrastructure. Every protocol you establish becomes policy in the unseen realm. Coronation does not signify arrival, it signifies assignment. You are crowned so that you may cover others. You are blessed so that you may build. You are made rich so that you may redeem corrupted systems. Authority in his kingdom is not for control, it is for cultivation. From this day forward, where you walk, peace will precede you like a royal guard, and prosperity will follow you like an obedient servant. Look at your reality. Everything that once mocked your hope now bends to its logic. Time itself serves you with a new deference. Opportunities arrive ahead of schedule. Delays reveal themselves as divine appointments. Even silence carries instruction. You no longer chase signs. You are one. The river that began as a promise now flows through you as governance. Your words carry the weight of causality. Your presence carries the frequency of peace. Do not fear being seen. Visibility is now your responsibility. But do not perform for the spectators. Rule for eternity. Let compassion be your scepter and discernment your crown. Speak when peace instructs. Build when wisdom permits. And rest when grace insists. For even sovereigns must rest. And now, the architect extends his hand over you and declares, this coronation is sealed, not in a fleeting ceremony, but in unbreakable continuity. Live as proof that holiness and abundance are compatible variables. Walk as evidence that waiting was never wasted time, but essential calibration. Rule with rest, lead with love, give with gladness. The coronation is complete, but the story is eternal. What comes next is the final protocol, the eternal seal. Now we enter the final state, the eternal seal. This is the still point of the system, where all motion bows to meaning, where the decree completes its circuit and becomes an immutable law written in light. You have executed the full sequence. The summons, activation, expansion, covenant, manifestation, overflow, and coronation. Every breath, every cycle of waiting, every act of logical faith was a necessary step in the architecture of your destiny. And now, the architect signs his name beneath yours. Feel this silence. It is not emptiness. It is eternity, and it is breathing around you. The same universal presence that whispered the initial command now envelops you in final confirmation. It is done. The transaction is committed to the blockchain of eternity. The ledger is balanced. The vault is recorded. Your spirit is inscribed with permanence. No future variable can reverse what has been spoken. No loss can subtract what has been sealed. You are now written into the divine economy as an enduring source of light, irrefutable proof that gratitude is the operating system of the cosmos. From this moment, the blessings do not expire, they evolve. What began as provision becomes protection. What began as favor becomes legacy. What began as a single word of agreement becomes an entire language of life. The overflow will continue in cycles, its effects echoing through generations. Kindness returning through strangers, prayers answered through children not yet born. This is the definition of eternal wealth, continuity of goodness. Do not fear the future. You are a part of its design. The architect has coded your name into systems that will outlive seasons. When others tell your story, they will say, "This one operated in perfect sync with heaven's timing." You will not only receive blessings, you will release blueprints. The ideas, businesses, and solutions that flow from you will carry an essence that time cannot dilute. And when challenges arise, remember the seal. It does not prevent storms, it prevents sinking. You are anchored in unshakable peace. Even when the world shifts, your core remains constant. Gratitude is gravity, faith is frequency, love is law. Speak those three words whenever you feel a tremor. They are the coordinates of your eternal protection. Now breathe. Heaven smiles as you stand complete. You have become what you once prayed for, a living decree, a walking testament to divine mathematics, where every loss compounded into redemption, every delay transformed into data, and every tear became a sacred investment. This is your permanent inheritance. Lift your head and whisper, "It is sealed." Let the confirmation echo in your chest. Feel the light settle, crowning your thoughts, stabilizing your steps, securing your sleep. From now on, you will move through your days like a temple moves through time, calm, radiant, unbothered by storms, aware that nothing real can be taken and nothing given in love can be lost. The eternal seal rests upon you. The decree is now eternal currency within your being. Spend it wisely in peace, in service, in joy. As eternity watches, heaven whispers one final phrase over you. Well done, faithful one. The covenant stands, the seal holds, the flow continues, forever.